Well, it was time for phase 2 of my black-bearded algae experiment. The autos did a pretty good job. I'd give them maybe 3.5 stars out of 5. The plants do look a bit cleaner, and when you consider that black algae seems to do better in a high-flow area, and this is a very high-flow tank, overall, I'd say that they did a decent job. But it was time to move into the second phase of my experiment, so I pulled them out and I headed out to the Aquatic Critter here in Nashville. And it was Grandpa babysitting day, so I took my little buddy with me. And in we went. I decided to go ahead and go into the reptile section, which I normally don't show you in these videos. Take a look at this guy. This guy has got to be about 7 feet from head to tail. And these turtles were in a really pretty enclosure. This guy was definitely no nonsense. Looks like an iguana of some kind. They had a large assortment of exotic frogs, drawers and drawers of snakes, and a lot of exotic type, monitor type lizards. She was completely fascinated. This guy kept trying to get out of his enclosure. That would be an interesting situation. This python was enormous. Actually a python or a boa, but its head was the size of a grapefruit. We popped next door over to the aquarium area. They had some mud skippers and some pandagoras in this tank. Very cool. And we went looking around at everything else that they had and just had a great old time looking at all the fish. We probably spent close to maybe close to 40 minutes there. These blue lobster-looking guys remind me of what they call crawdads. Don't think they're suitable for the my type of tank. Sure are pretty though. Look at these. These are hump-headed glassfish. About $40 a piece. Very, very unusual. Kind of pretty the way they're translucent. They do have some cichlids. And for some reason, my granddaughter was calling them all Buddy.
Hi, Buddy. Hi, Buddy.
We, of course, had to stop by the Ray exhibit, one of my favorite exhibits at this shop. And I ended up walking out of the store with what I came for, their last Siamese algae eater. I also picked up a small honey gourami. I wanted to add a gourami to the planted community tank, but I didn't want one that would get too big or be overly aggressive. And I heard that these honeys stay relatively small and are pretty mellow. And I also picked up a very strange looking snail that at first I thought it was a clam, some kind of a freshwater clam. But you'll see why I thought that when you see this snail in the aquarium. But let's go ahead and get them home and get them acclimated. Yeah, I love driving around Tennessee. The honey gourami and the SAE, Siamese algae eater, acclimated. Floated up in the tank, temperature matched, and I dropped them in, and they seemed relatively comfortable. Getting used to the high amount of flow in this aquarium provided by that Expert-Matic internal filter. You can see here that unusual clam-like snail. He immediately started moving around the aquarium. with a couple of very thin little feelers sticking out of the front. Again, a very unusual type critter. And I like the unusual type snails like the pagodas and this one here, which I'd never seen before. So the autos were out. There were still a couple plecos in here and the SAE, and it was now up to them to make a dent in this plant. He didn't seem that interested in the black algae, and it seemed like the autos jumped on it a lot faster than the SAE. The honeygummia is pretty cute. Fish like to hide under that big Sarah sponge filter. The autos moved over to the 55-gallon planted community. We're living their best life. I usually leave a little bit of the green algae on the side panel so they'll be able to munch on that for a while, and also clean up some of the algae on the back and on the plants. Black-bearded algae in this tank seems to be getting more and more under control by my dialing back the light. And of course I added some of those phosphate pads from the Aquarium co-op. Here in the 29-gallon, the experiment tank, you can take a closer look here at the way the Anubias looks. And you can see it's not in terrible shape, but there's definitely some of that hair algae, some of that black beard algae along the edges of the Anubias. So now it's up to you, buddy. You got to get on there. You didn't attack it quite as fast as the autos did, but he's really just sort of getting the lay of the land here. He'll probably end up staying in this 55. I've heard that they can be a little bit nippy. There are so many fish in that 55 that maybe he would thrive over there. Here's that unusual snail. He's starting to move around the tank. And he puts out two very, very small, very thin feelers. But otherwise he is more or less an armored vehicle. So what do you think? Do you think that the SAE is going to finish cleaning off this Anubias? Go ahead and share your comments below if you've had experience with situations like this. You see he's swimming right by it. Doesn't seem that interested in it, but maybe that'll change. I thought about putting some nearite snails in here, but I think one of you discouraged me with stories about the nearite snails laying eggs all over the place that never hatch. So I decided on this step to just go ahead and go with the Siamese algae eater. You can see this little honeygummia is very cute. I'll leave him in here under quarantine for about 30 days, and if he's looking good, I'll go ahead and transfer him over to the planted community tank. I added an almond leaf to the planted community tank. I keep hearing good things about them, so I figured it wouldn't hurt. You can see the neons. They love staying undercover, so they'll probably enjoy that leaf being in there quite a bit. I heard the fish will peck on it, and it also adds some tannins to the water and other good things, even nutrients and minerals. It's like a Java fern. Seems to be doing okay, and of course that side of the tank doesn't get the amount of flow that this side gets because of the hang-on back filter being directly over it. So I'm not surprised to see a little bit more of the black algae on this side of the tank. The plants that are in the substrate do seem to be doing better than the ones that are on the wood. I think the autos are going to like it in here. They've got a lot more room and a lot more algae options. I'll continue to drop in pieces of zucchini and cucumber, which the snails and the autos seem to like a lot. So do the plecos. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. Certainly share your thoughts, comments below. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell. And if you'd like to support the channel further, consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang or a Patreon monthly supporter. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you on Saturday for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And if you would like to keep watching some videos about this subject or other subjects, check out these two that I'm going to put up here for you. You might enjoy them. Bye-bye.